welcome into week 3 of the NFL season, and it is Wednesday, so today is the day that we are going to be making our week 3 NFL Pickem video. The whiteboard has returned. It sits behind me with all of the NFL games listed up here. This is where I will be making my picks. You will be able to follow along. I have some NFL team pennants that I will be using to make these selections. You will see them in the video. I will place them on the board to indicate which team I am selecting to win in these head-to-head matchups. Before we get to that, let's pause to celebrate the Minnesota Wild re-signing Kirill Kaprizov to a 5-year contract, because I had just purchased this about 6 months ago. And when all of these rumors about him potentially going back to the KHL came to light, I was nervous. I was like, man, did I jinx this? Is this my fault? But today we wear the NHL draft hat for the Minnesota Wild, the shirt, because we are celebrating Kirill Kaprizov staying in Minnesota. And then, of course, the Timberwolves had to steal all the headlines today by releasing Rojas. So I don't know. Why can't Minnesota teams be normal for 1 week or a couple days or something? I don't know, whatever it is. Anyway, let's get into the NFL picks. Last week in week 1, in week 1, I was 10-6. Last week, I posted a 9-7 record. Didn't do so well in the afternoon / primetime games. Started out good in the 1 o'clocks, but as the day went on, I just was missing picks left and right. So week 2, I finished 9-7. That brings my total on the year to 19-13. Just to recap, the teams that I picked correctly to win were the Washington football team, Browns, Rams, Bills, Patriots, 49ers, Broncos, Bucks, and Packers. The teams I picked incorrectly were the Bengals, the Steelers, the Saints, the Vikings, the Chargers, the Seahawks, and the Chiefs. We all remember how optimistic I was about the Minnesota Vikings getting on the right track and stealing one in the desert from the Cardinals. That did not happen. I'm going to be a little bit more bold today with some of the other teams, and we'll see how you guys think of these picks here in a moment. So don't forget to leave a comment down below. What do you think of my picks? What are your picks? Surprise teams, teams that you think are definitely not going to win this week, teams that will definitely win this week. Let me know what you think. These are always pretty fun to do. So without further ado, let's begin. Let's start making picks, and we begin with Thursday Night Football, the Carolina Panthers, who have a surprisingly good defense. I have bought a lot of stock in Panthers defense in fantasy football. I'll be starting them in both of my leagues this week because they're going up against Davis Mills, the rookie from Stanford for the Houston Texans, because Tyrod Taylor is not available due to injury. So I think it could be feast or famine for this Carolina Panthers defense, and I think it's going to be feast this week. So taking the Panthers to beat the Texans on Thursday Night Football. Remember, this is head-to-head. This is not against the spread. I'm just picking the winner. Points be damned. Moving on to the Washington football team and the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills turned the ship last week against the Miami Dolphins, knocking out Tua Tagovailoa. Jacoby Brissett looked terrible after that. I think that the Bills are getting to be where they need to repeat their success that they had last year. I'm going to go with the Bills in this one. I think the Bills defense is going to give Taylor Heineke a little bit more of a problem than he's seen so far this season. Bears versus Browns. This is one where I really struggled. It took me a minute to try to figure out who I was going to pick for this one. As you all know, or if you haven't heard, Justin Fields has been named the starter for the Chicago Bears this week because Andy Dalton's injury is significant enough to withhold him from action for at least one game, and we don't know how long that's going to last. Matt Nagy clearly doesn't know what he wants to do, because he has said that once Andy Dalton is healthy, he will be the starter again, and that's just ridiculous. But for this week, we're focused on the Bears and the Browns. I'm going to go with the Browns, even though there's some signs that this team could be heading for a rough patch. Baker Mayfield gets a little banged up last week. Jarvis Landry's going to miss 2 to 3 weeks of action. I don't know. I think the Browns are the better team in terms of personnel and coaching, because we have 2 offensive coordinators head coaching this week in this matchup, and I'm going to give the edge to Kevin Stefanski and the personnel that he has. Ravens versus Lions. This is one of my bold predictions. I'm going to go with the Lions in an upset win over the Ravens. I think the Ravens probably, exhausted themselves in that primetime win over the Chiefs on Sunday night. I'm going to say that took a lot out of them. They're not going to be as prepared and as ready for the Detroit Lions, who, in my opinion, have bought into the Dan Campbell formula. So I think that this is going to be a real shocker for everyone around the league. Next, we have the Colts and the Titans. Carson Wentz, I don't know what to make of his injury reports and his statuses. He has a sprained ankle. Oh, wait, both ankles are sprained. Oh, wait, no, it's not that bad. He should play. From what I understand, they are practicing and preparing in the mindset that Jacob Eason is going to be the starter, but they're not ruling out Carson Wentz just yet. That's fine. It's Wednesday. That's the risk that I run making this video on Wednesday, trying to get ahead of the Thursday night game. But the Titans are too talented, and I think right now that they are probably in a better spot in terms of team continuity and injury statuses. I'm going to go with the Titans in that divisional matchup. Next, we have the Chargers and the Chiefs, which should be a glorious shootout. I'm going to make another bold prediction, and I'm going to go with the Chargers. They didn't exactly light up the scoreboard against the Cowboys last week like I thought they would, but I think that they're going to do it this week because when you're playing a division rival, it's not about just who's better on paper. It's about who's more ready and who wants it more because, let's face it, divisional games have a different edge to them. They really do. You don't know who's going to win. This might as well be a 50-50 toss-up. I'm going to go with the Chargers just based on a hunch, and I'm going to say that the Chiefs are going to be in a surprising 1-2 start for the season. So that is a bold prediction number 2. Next, we have the Saints and the Patriots. This isn't as bold. I'm going to go with the Patriots. I think that Coach Bill Belichick and that defense will be able to create a lot of problems for Jameis Winston. We saw him come back down to reality last week when he exhibited the 2019 version of Jameis Winston on the field. I was correct in predicting that the Patriots were ready to feast on a rookie quarterback last week when they faced Zach Wilson, and I think he had like 4 interceptions and 5 passing attempts. Something awful. But the Jets are terrible. The Saints aren't terrible. It's not the same real comparison that you can make, but I'm still going to go with the Patriots over the Saints for this one. I'm going to give the edge to Bill Belichick. Next, we have the Falcons and the Giants. Why does this have to be a game? I mean, come on. No, I'm kidding. So I have some fantasy stock in Calvin Ridley, and right now I'm trying to figure out, should I hold on to Calvin Ridley or should I try to offer him up in a trade while his value is still high? This team for the Falcons is not good. Both of these teams, if you watched my NFL predictions video before the season started, I predicted to both own top 5 picks in the 2022 NFL draft, and the Falcons are very much headed for that. The Giants, I don't know. I don't know if they know who they are yet. Saquon Barkley, I think, is going to get better as the season goes on. And I know I keep circling back to fantasy, but I think for fantasy football, this might be your last chance to buy low on Saquon Barkley. You know, maybe find an owner who's like impatient, can't wait for Saquon Barkley to finally turn it on, and maybe steal him in a trade. So, but for this game, I'm gonna say the Falcons continue to struggle and cause fans misery. So I'm gonna go with the Giants in this one. For no real other reason that when you look at the first 2 weeks of football that these teams have played, the Giants have been better. Next, we have the Bengals and the Steelers. I have no idea what kind of offense the Steelers think they are this year, and that's a cause for concern. TJ Watt injury is a cause for concern. They signed Taco Charlton this week. You know what? I'm just going to say, the same thing that I set up here about division games being different and having a different edge. I'm going to say the same thing here. I'm going to predict the Bengals to beat the Steelers this week in a surprise upset. This is maybe a bold prediction number 3. I've been 0-2 picking Bengals games so far because I picked the Vikings to beat them in week 1, and I picked them to win last week against the Bears. Neither one of those happened, so maybe Steelers fans, I am subconsciously picking your team this week. So don't get mad at me. Next, we have the Cardinals and the Jaguars. I'm not going to waste any time on this one. The Cardinals showed me last week how good of an offense that they are. Kyler Murray is a video game cheat code. The Jaguars are the Jaguars, coached by Urban Meyer. It's going to take a while for them to figure things out. I don't think that this is a trap game quite yet. The Jaguars are going to have to wait later on in the season to play spoiler for somebody. Next, we have the 2-0 the 2-0 Denver Broncos going up against the New York Jets, who are not good in any facet of the game. So, easy prediction here. I'm going with the Broncos and Teddy to start 3-0. Next, we have the Dolphins and the Raiders. Jacoby Brissett is going to be playing this week. Tua Tagovailoa has a fractured rib. That seems more serious than we initially thought based on early reports. Time frame for his return is unknown. So I don't know what to make of the offense without Tua Tagovailoa. Jacoby Brissett has done well in spot starts and for that one season with the Indianapolis Colts when Andrew Luck retired. But he didn't look good last week taking over for Tua, so I'm going to assume that the Raiders are too much for the Dolphins to handle. The Dolphins are disappointing me this year. I thought this was going to be a team that was definitely going to be able to build on the success it had last season, and so far they've gone in reverse. The Raiders, on the other hand, have found success early. The question is that success sustainable? We'll find out this week. Next, we have the Bucs and the Rams. I don't know if this is a bold prediction, but I'm picking against Tom Brady, so I feel like it is. And I told myself I wouldn't do that anymore, but I'm going to. I'm going to go with the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams over the Buccaneers head to head and just call it a hunch. The Buccaneers have to travel. The Rams will be in their home stadium. I like what the Sean McVay offense has become with Matthew Stafford in it, although I wish he would throw to Robert Woods a little bit more. Cooper Kupp's taking up all the excitement. Another fantasy thing. But yeah, I'm just going to be bold and say the Tampa Bay can't win them all. They got to lose at some point, and I think the Rams would be an excellent opportunity for that to happen. Next, we have the Vikings and the Seahawks. If this was in Seattle, I would pick Seattle, but it's not. I'm going to go with the home field advantage here. I'm going to go with the Vikings for the third straight week. I'm picking the Vikings, and this is the same thing as the Bengals. I've been wrong both times in the first 2 weeks, but they got to win at some point. They really have to. If they don't, I think we're having a much different conversation on this channel than we've been having. We've been hinting at it, but I got to say that the fans being back in US Bank Stadium is going to give them enough of an edge that I think that they'll be able to right the ship. They've looked good, in last week's game against the Cardinals. They didn't look good against the Bengals. That was their first road test, getting their feet wet. Then they realized the pressure is on. I think things are going to be okay. Maybe. I don't know. I'm more optimistic today than I usually am, I guess. Next, we have the 49ers and the Packers. I think this one's a pretty even matchup. I'm going to go with the 49ers for no real other reason than, I don't know. I think this is just a coin flip for this game. Last but not least is the Monday night matchup between the Eagles and the Cowboys. Excited to see Devontae Smith in prime time, the Heisman Trophy winner at wide receiver for the Eagles. I like his connection with Jalen Hurts. Outside of that, I don't really have much analysis for this game. Other than, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys offense should be more high-powered than it currently is, and maybe that has something to do with Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup being a little banged up. I don't know really when Michael Gallup's timetable to return is at this point, and the Eagles are, they're a good team right now, but I think that they're a long ways away from being hyper-competitive. But for this one, I'm going to go with the Eagles and the Jalen Hurts Devontae Smith connection. So those are my picks for week 3 of the NFL. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next one.